Well, hello. This is chapter 3 on self-esteem. To begin with, we're going to talk about the concept of self-esteem from your reading. Self-esteem is the affective or emotional aspect of self, which refers to how individuals feel about or value themselves or their self-worth. This concept refers to the happiness or satisfaction that one feels about themselves and the feeling of being loved and respected. Children evaluate themselves in 4 areas: competence, what they do well, sense of control, moral worth, knowing right from wrong, and worthiness of love and acceptance. And there is a table in your reading 3.1 that explains those 4 concepts further. Self-esteem in healthcare is very important. Children may experience a fluctuation in self-esteem during healthcare encounters because of the challenges in task mastery, poor coping mechanisms, and or their ability to adjust to change and handle stress. These fluctuations may be only temporary modifications from their actual self-esteem. Evaluative dimensions of self-esteem, according to the table 3.1, are as follows. The first dimension, competence. In other words, your adequacy of cognitive, physical, and social skills, how you feel about what you do well, if you have friends, if you are good in your coursework. The next dimension is the sense of control, the ability to complete tasks needed to produce desired outcomes. Do you wait to raise your hand when the teacher asks for who knows the answer, or do you just blurt it out without raising your hand? And then how that assignation of responsibility for success or failure that you promote with yourself. Oh, I didn't do it right. Or, yay, I got the answer correct. The next dimension, the third dimension, is moral worth and how closely your actions and behaviors meet moral standards that have been set in society, in the classroom, in according to your family standards. And then finally, worthiness of love. This pertains to the degree of worthiness of love and acceptance from peers, parents, significant adults, siblings, and so on. The development of self-esteem involves both developmental issues and environmental influences. Environmental influences help to shape our abilities and opportunities available to accomplish age-appropriate developmental tasks. So those influences could be considered if you live in an area that it might be unsafe to play outside because of poor neighborhood lighting or unsafe street traffic or perhaps gang behavior, then families might encourage children to come home immediately after school and stay indoors, which means that you would maybe be playing video games or spend time on your phone instead of practicing gross motor skills like skipping and jumping rope and playing games of tag and things like that. Other environmental influences include significant others, how people in your life treat you. Do they provide you with affirmations and encouragement, or do they belittle you or call you names, things like that? And that can be from significant others such as peers, extended family, babysitters, after school programs, things like that. And then there are social roles and rules that are assumed, and the expectations of those roles that impact your ability to form peer relationships and so on. If you are the oldest child in the family, you may have the responsibility to take on the role of making sure your siblings get their homework done, that you have chores to do that take away from your social interaction with peers. Maybe you have to put dinner on the table because parents or single parents are working, those sorts of things. And then individual temperaments and personalities play an important role in how we get along with others and how we are treated and treat others. So if you have an active temperament or a very talkative personality, um, this um, may test the patience of those around you. It can be exhausting for the people in your immediate circle, whether they're peers, friends, classmates, family members, and that sort of thing. And then developmentally, in the different stages, this is how um, self-esteem it develops. Infancy through preschool years. In other words, um, infancy is like the first year of life to preschool, 3 years of age. There is a need to develop a sense of autonomy, doing things for yourself. That's the primary task that is balanced by acceptance and praise. Good job, you did it yourself. Limit setting from parents. I want you to clean up after your toys are all over the room, that sort of thing. If you can't do that, then you aren't receiving that praise and you don't feel that parental acceptance. Children learn to control the responsiveness to having their needs met by how well they do with their sense of autonomy, doing things for themselves, learning to take on responsibility, and learning to please the elders or adults in your environment. Preschoolers from age 3 to 5 years, their primary task is the task of initiative. Um, they use the term I, which is the onset of self-awareness. I can do that. I can set the table. They may not do it correctly. They may not take the clothes out of the dryer and fold them the same way that you do, but they're looking for that praise and acceptance and learning to do things on their own. Not just the sense of autonomy, but taking that to the next step, being very initiating things that they can do. I'll get the mail, I can take the trash out, that sort of thing. And then the school age years, this is characterized by age 6 to 12. These children experience a lot of social growth and development because they spend an inordinate amount of time at school. away from parents, and these years are heavily influenced by peer acceptance. Entering school provides challenges. It provides us an abundance of rules and expectations, along with interactions with new adults and new peers, children of the same age. Around age 8, children compare themselves with their peers and evaluate their own abilities, how well they do things compared to their peers. Children age 8 to 11, they begin to think more concretely and look at themselves by what traits they have that they excel in, how smart they are, how friendly they are, how athletic they are. And then during adolescence, which is anything beyond the age of 12, whether you're a preteen or a teen or a young adult. Adolescence really moves into not just 18, but into the 20s. It is a time to achieve ego identity and avoid role confusion. What do you do well? And not only how you compare yourself to others, but what that means for your future. It's a sense of self-esteem, which is dependent on judgment of your academics, your physical experiences, your physical traits, your physical, how you excel physically, and your social achievements. Also, your physical attributes, your interpersonal acceptance, and your moral behaviors, as well as a sense of control over personal accomplishments, relationships, and activities. This can be characterized by the clubs that you participate in, the after-school activities, the if you draw, paint, have special talents, take dance classes, learn to play baseball, learn to play soccer, and other after-school activities that all contribute to how you identify as an individual, and that builds your self-esteem. There are some risk factors with self-esteem issues. These risk factors are called the 3 stages of corporality. Children with physical disabilities use these stages of corporality that define how they relate to their physical being. The first stage is the discovery stage. What can they do with their own bodies? How do they compare themselves with others? Maybe they can't meet the same comparison threshold with their peers because of a physical disability, an inability to move an arm or a leg in the same way or with the same determination and effectiveness that their peers can hold a paintbrush or hold a pencil or run at the same pace. Then there is an experimentation stage where you do the best that you can with what you have, and you learn to accept and compete given the disability that you have. And then lastly, the incorporation stage, learning new tasks within the physical constraints of your body, sitting, crawling, walking, running, things like that. Children with behavioral and learning difficulties, such as attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder, may fall into this category. Children with chronic conditions that may, like asthma or cystic fibrosis, may limit their ability to perform like their peers in physical tasks, such as running or competing or that sort of thing. And then there are other risk factors that may impact how a child compares themselves with their peers, being unattractive, being overweight, having been abused or neglected, bullied or ostracized, or having been victims of corporal punishment contribute to low self-esteem, or how children compare themselves or uh, discourage themselves from completing a task or comparing themselves in the same capacity that their peers would complete a task or compare themselves. Other special considerations when assessing a child's level of self-esteem, many of the following factors may be present. Statements that the child makes about him or herself, oh, I can't do this, or that's hard for me, or uh, I, I can't, I don't know how to finish something like that. Or their ability to be goal oriented. They don't have goals, or they modify their goals consistently with the amount of reassurance, encouragement that they receive from adults or peers in their environment. Their readiness with which they take risks or don't take risks. And if they say, no, I can't do that, I'm not going to do that, or I don't have that ability, then that can be a red flag. Sometimes it's their need for approval from adults. In healthcare situations, we've had children in our playroom activity rooms that pat the adult in the environment and say, is this right, teacher? Is this right? Am I doing this right? And they need a lot of affirmation, a lot of encouragement, a lot of approval, because perhaps they don't get that in their home life. And they're seeking that affirmation from the adults in the environment. Maybe it can be an ability to delineate strengths and weaknesses, or not being able to identify strengths, their own personal strengths and weaknesses. It can be the ability to make independent choices based on what they like or dislike, or maybe they cannot come up with an idea about what they do like to do. And when asked, what do you like to play with, or what kinds of board games do you like to participate in? And they cannot think of something they like or make an independent choice. These are all red flags. So how do we enhance children's self-esteem? There are 5 basic attitudes of a child that can promote self-esteem. The first one is a sense of security. Trusting in people and the environment helps to develop security, which is can be age-appropriate explanations to why I need you to try to play bingo with us. There's no wrong answer. Everybody can win at this game. And then the second one is a sense of identity, getting positive feedback and recognition of personal strengths in a loving and accepting way. I know you can turn the wheel or turn the crank on the ball in the selection of the numbers that we're calling out for bingo. I know you can do it. Let's give it a try. I'll help you. Let's do it together. The third one, a sense of belonging. And this pertains to the experiences that a child, that enable a child to participate in group or individual activities that give them an identity, that they're part of a group, or they have individual strengths that are important to the group activity. The fourth is a sense of purpose and setting reasonable expectations that help a child set reasonable goals for themselves. Let's just give it a try. Promoting faith and confidence in a child encourages their achievement of those goals. So breaking a bigger goal down into very small, achievable, smaller goals. And then lastly, the sense of personal competence. Children can achieve this by believing they're able to cope with problems and meet their goals. So by coaching a child to like, gosh, that looks like it could be a difficult task. How can we approach this task if we try a couple of different ways to achieve the goal? We can tape a paintbrush to their hand or tape a marker or crayon to their hand if they have a poor pincer grip to help them have better control over that object. And then maybe they can create a picture or a drawing or write a word holding the pen or pencil or crayon or marker if it's taped to their hand. And then there's some general strategies for enhancing a child's self-esteem. With children, it's important to accomplish the following. Determine a child's confidence in their own judgment. Reinforcing personal strengths that children identify. I have good coordination. I can hop on one foot, something like that. Provide experiences that increase a child's sense of autonomy. I know you can do this. Let's see if you can do this. Can you scoot your chair forward to the table? If not, I can help you, but let's see if you can try first. And then conveying confidence in a child's ability to handle situations. Wow, that was hard. You needed to share that crayon with someone else, and they traded a different color with you. Wow, that's really great. I love how you handled that situation. Number 5, exploring previous achievements of success and encouraging children to accept new challenges. Number 6, rewarding or praising a child's progress toward reaching their goals. Number 7, facilitating an environment and activities that will increase a child's self-esteem. And number 8, discussing the impact of peer group on feelings of self-worth. How does that make you feel when your friend asks you a question about your finished activity or your painting, what that means with all of the colors that you used? So discussing feelings is very important to self-worth, and that every child's feelings are individual and there's no right or wrong to expressing those feelings. So that's what I have for you. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, and then you can move on to the activity and the reading for the next week's assignment.